Hey guys, it's Techo Freak, and welcome to episode 15 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about Ghoul hole networks. So if you're unaware of what that is, pretty much ghouls can use holes in your level and travel between different places or chase after the player using the holes. So you can use them to have your ghoul crawl in there and travel in between rooms and stuff. Pretty useful. It helps you get from one, for example, if you don't want them to be chasing the player down the stairs, for example, you can put a hole up here somewhere and then have them emerge at the bottom when he chases the player. So pretty useful, pretty good thing to know. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's not too difficult to do, but there's just a little bit of explaining for some scripting that we're going to have to do and stuff. But it's actually not that bad at all. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to do is I want to place some holes for the ghoul to use. I want to place two of them, one here, and then I'm thinking one at the bottom down here. And then we'll have the ghoul pretty much come down here, get in that hole, and then pop out in the other hole. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna get in focus with this object here, and we'll go ahead and we'll delete this wall here, and we'll go into our static objects here. And typically there are walls with holes already in them. Most these are the themes here. Between these here, and you can kind of just pick whichever one if you're doing a theme of let's say French colonization, you can use that one. If you're doing one with Arabic fort, you use that one. So I'm doing Arabic fort, so I'm gonna go under Arabic fort. I'm actually gonna leave just Arabic fort. I'm just gonna kind of scroll down here, that way we have all the objects here, and when we get to the walls, we'll just see all the walls we have to work with. So I'm gonna go down. Alright, so here they are. We're gonna use this one here because it kind of has the hole kind of high up here. It has it kind of high up, so we're gonna use this one. Let's kind of place it a little better here. Line it up here, and let's go ahead and rotate it here, and then let's move it back into place here. Alright, yep, that looks good. So we want him to crawl in there, and what I was saying is that you can see there's kind of a hole here that he could kind of go into. So that's exactly what we want. So this is the hole, so this is where we're going to have him go in, and we're going to need another one. We're going to put another one. You don't need to have two, but it doesn't make sense to kind of have one. It'd just be for him, having one hole would pretty much just be for him to hide in and then kind of jump out at the player. Which could be a pretty good jump scare if you're walking by and you have a ghoul hiding, but you don't know, and then just as soon as the player walks by, he can get smacked out. But that's not what we're doing here. We wanted to connect those holes so that he can actually travel between them. So we're gonna put another one right underneath the other one here, so it kind of looks like he can travel between the two. And then let's go into static objects. Let's see what other holes we got. I think we'll do this one because it's kind of low, and we have this spot kind of low here. Let's grab it and rotate it here. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and just scooch it on in, and yep, that looks good. The hole looks pretty good. So now we got our holes in place. Now we're gonna have to put a few areas to kind of identify it as the hole. So the way we do that is we're gonna go into the areas here, the second one from the top. We're going to drop down, and you're going to look for, you're going to look for, I think it's called, Ghoul hole here. And then we're going to go ahead and place it up here. But let me select this object here and focus on it. That way I can focus on there. We'll accidentally switch tabs there. So let's click on focus here. That way we're focused in on this floor, and we can place our ghoul hole here. So, I accidentally created it, so I'm gonna undo that, and then we'll just click right on in there, and you don't need to size it or anything. This should be fine. What you're gonna do is line it up properly. Make sure it doesn't clip into the wall or anything like that. So we'll do is we'll put it there. Make sure it's flat with the ground, or else it looks like it's gonna kind of look like he's floating a little bit. And don't get it too close to the wall, just get it about close enough. We're gonna do it right there is good. He's pretty much gonna play this is gonna let him trigger an animation to go in the hole. So he's gonna line himself up with the center of this square here where it says area, and then he'll start his like crawl-in animation into the hole. So make sure it's not being blocked by anything. So that should work fine. We'll give it a name, and I think we'll call it. They do have a bit of a convention for these. So it's gonna be it's typically the name of a hole. So hole, and then typically the area that the ghoul is in. So like if the ghoul's like in the hallway and you called it like ghoul hallway, it'd be like hole hallway. Kind of the way it is, but you don't have to follow this. You could do it however you want, but we're gonna call it whole hallway, and we're gonna put _1. And it is important to put this _1 when it comes to these holes. Not required, but there actually is a reason why we want to give it a number at the end. So make sure you do _1 at the end of whatever you put there. And we'll hit save here, and again I'll explain why in a moment. Yeah, so there's only one option for ghoul holes. It's to choose the low or high animation. What this pretty much does is when the ghoul crawls in here, he's gonna crawl upwards or downwards based on the hole. So this one kind of goes upwards. So the correct thing to put here would be a high animation. So he's gonna crawl like upwards a bit. So that's what we're gonna put there. And now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna kind of duplicate this here and bring it right down to the other one. And let's just like last time, focus in on the floor here, and then let's line it up properly. So let's bring it over here, and let's make sure this is not touching that there. Maybe bring it up a little bit here. Yeah, looks good. Maybe a tad bit higher. Yeah, so that should be that. And as for orientation, let's turn on our grid controls here. So this, you see this blue, the animation will play, but it will play, the direction he crawls into will be opposite of this blue arrow right here. So you see this blue line here. Maybe I can zoom in to get a little better look at it. But this blue one right here, so he'll go opposite of that. So he would be, based on the way we oriented this, he'd be crawling the opposite way out of the hole pretty much. We don't want that, so we're gonna rotate it over. So let's go ahead and grab it. It should be the green one here, and let's have that blue line kind of face opposite. There it is. So it's facing opposite the direction he's gonna go in the hole. And we gotta do the same thing for the one down here. So let's rotate it here. All right, it's rotated. Let's go ahead and hit save on that. So so we got that all done. That's pretty much all there is to it. One thing I also want to do, I want to add a few more path nodes that goes downstairs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place some more, not too many, because I don't think it's necessary, but I think it'd just be a good idea, just so that the ghoul doesn't get too confused. So let's go ahead and get our areas here and get some path nodes. So it should be under P for path nodes. And let's see. So let's focus in on this area here, and yeah. So let's just place these going down. Alright, so we finished placing the path. I only did one lane here instead of going two, just for time, but in the future I might just double up the paths here. But not really necessary to have two lanes like this. One's more than enough. Anyways, yeah, so we got it just going down, just so that he kind of has a path if he wanted to walk between the two areas, but not completely necessary. Just kind of me wanting to do it just to make sure that the Ghoul doesn't get too confused. Alright, so with that, we're done with the level editor. We have everything set up the way we want it for us to be able to start working on this Ghoul hole network. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to our CodeLight application. So here we are in our script. So what I want to do is we have our timer here, and this is where we're gonna put it. If you've watched the previous episode, you'll notice I cleared out whatever I had in here, just to give us a clean slate to work with in today's episode, and talk about this stuff. So just to go over the timer stuff in case you didn't watch episode 10, where we talked about the timer and how we're getting to here and spawning this entity. So if we go open up our level here, and we go down to this one right here, you'll see that we have it's a trigger area. So it's a trigger area where called trigger bottom stairs, where when the player interacts with it, we'll call a function called onCollide player trigger bottom stairs from our script. And if we go back to our script, you can see that we have that function right here, onCollide player trigger bottom stairs. And pretty much what we're doing is we're checking the alt state, which pretty much means if it's 1, the player just entered the area. When he enters the area, we call map add timer. So we add a timer for 10 seconds, and then we call this function on timer hallway Ghoul spawn, which is this function right here. And this has the code that we have to set our Ghoul active, and we're also setting the Ghoul smelling active. The active to false. I'll explain that in a second. But after that, we just return false, which means that we don't want to run this callback after this one time that we run it, and then it won't run again. And then the reason why we set Ghoul set smelling active to false is because when the Ghoul, like you get near the Ghoul can start to smell you if you get too close. And when we're testing, we don't want him to kind of start looking for us. We just kind of want him to do what he's doing, and we can hide and kind of peek and watch what he's doing. So for testing, usually I like to leave this false, but you might want to leave it on if you do want him to sniff around for you in actual game. So this is running with the Ghoul command. Make sure at the top, I've mentioned this before in the last episodes as well, but make sure you have the pound include helper/helper agent.hps line right here. This has all the functions for Ghouls and agents that let us run these functions here. So if you don't have that, you're going to get errors. So make sure you have that. And with all that out the way, we can go ahead and now start talking about what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to first do a command go to hole. So what we pretty much do is we're going to command the Ghoul, or the Ghoul, we want you to go to the hole now. And we're going to give it a bunch of parameters. This actually has a bunch of parameters, but it lets you kind of like specify very specific things that you want. So don't get too scared when you see the amount of variables. I'll walk you through everything, and in the description, just like in every episode, I'll have all the functions that we're going to be using in today's episode, with descriptions and explanations on everything. So you can go there and check it out and see all the variables that you're going to need to put in. But I'll walk through every single one right now. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to say Ghoul underscore command go to hole, and we're going to have the execute here. And it looks like it's a little bit off screen, so let me just scroll a tad bit down here. Like I said, there are a lot of variables that go into this one. So let me just go way down here to make sure that we get it all in frame here. And we'll say command go to hole execute. And yep, it's in frame now, so you can see all the values. And sometimes they'll list all the parameters, but they'll be missing one. For example, you have agent name here and you have force. But if you look up here, this is the in for the agent name, but then there's something called a vector, and then there's force. So you might want to check just to make sure that these match with these sometimes. I think these are the annotations that the developers leave for their functions, but sometimes they make mistakes, and I think they just miss a parameter here. So make sure you double check that just to make sure that they match properly. But again, I'll walk you through what all these values here are that we're going to put in. They're actually nothing too crazy. So let's go ahead and hit enter just to get the whole thing to autofill here for us. And so the first, if you haven't seen this before, you haven't seen the videos before, you'll notice that there's equals, and then there's like false, 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 and all this stuff. So pretty much anything that has an equals and then has something on the right side pretty much means that we don't need to put the value in. It will pretty much just use a default, and default being, you know, false, 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 true, speed walk, -1, -1. Those are the defaults on the right side. So technically we only need to put the 2 first values here, but we're going to put the whole thing just to kind of go through what every variable does, and you guys can choose what, you know, how many of the variables you want to provide. And you can't just jump, and if you're new to scripting or programming in general, you can't just jump these and say you want to do this one and this one. You have to do them all in order. So if you wanted to do like equal speed, you'll need to do all the previous ones in that order as well. So it does help to know all the variables that you need here. So let's go ahead and start filling this in. So we'll do our quotation marks here, and we'll say Ghoul hallway, because that's the name of our ghoul that we want to have go to this hole. We'll do comma space, and now we just need the X, Y, and Z coordinates of where the ghoul is. So that's easy. If you saw the last episode, you'll know exactly what we did. We'll do map underscore get entity, and then the name will be Ghoul hallway. And we'll do comma space. Actually, no comma space. We just need the name, and then we'll do outside of the parentheses here. We'll do dot get position, so it should be the first one there, and then we'll do comma space to start putting in our next variables. So that will pretty much get us the position of the ghoul named Ghoul hallway, which is our ghoul. So now the next value is whether or not we want to force the state change. So if you want the ghoul to just drop everything he's doing and do what this command, you set this to true. If you want him to just find the next best opportunity, you set this to false. We're gonna set this to false. But again, if if he's like attacking, if he's chasing down the player right now, and then you send in this command, he will just stop chasing the player immediately and then go to the hole. But that might not be, what you're looking for. You might want him to just kind of wait till he's finished looking for the player. Then when he's not doing anything, he'll go to the hole, like you specified. All right, so now that this is now that we put this false, we're gonna talk about the next one. The next one is pretty much whether or not the ghoul should go to the hole right away, should walk to the hole, or whether or not he should be teleported immediately. So pretty much, if this is set to true, wherever he is, he'll just teleport away. He'll just disappear and he'll teleport into the hole, as opposed to setting this to false, where he would just travel to the hole and get in the hole. So if you want him to just kind of like pop straight into the hole, teleport straight into the hole, you can set that to true. Otherwise, I'm going to set it to false, so it could be a little bit more natural. And then next one is if you want to deactivate this after it runs once. So once you run this command once, like, should it be deactivated? And we do. So we're gonna say false here. Then we'll do comma space, and then the next question is whether or not you want the ghoul to go to the nearest hole, or should he pick one at random. If you want him to go to the closest hole near him, you set this to true. If you want him to pick one at random, you set this to false, and he'll just go to a random one near him, or in the radius you provide, because we will provide a radius in a moment. Next is ghoul speed. So for this, you're going to type in ghoul speed, and you set a speed here. You can choose any of these speeds. I'm going to tell him to run just so that we can see him go into the hole quickly. I'm going to do comma space, and then next is the radius, pretty much the radius that you want him to be able to go to the hole. So if he's within this radius, he will go to that hole. He will only search for holes in the radius you provide here. You can set it unlimited, and I'll explain that in a second. But let's say you only wanted him to go to a hole that's between like 0 to like 20 distance units. I'm not sure what the distance units are, but I think they're just the X, Y, and Z coordinates that are in like the level editor, so you can just use that for reference. This will pretty much be a radius of 20, and he'll go to, you know, if you set, since we set this to true here, the closest hole, here, then he'll go to the closest hole within this radius. But again, we can set this to -1 and then -1, and this will pretty much just means that it doesn't matter how far the hole is. He will, if he has a path to it, he will go in the hole, and the closest one, since we specified the closest. So then we'll hit space and we'll put the next thing here. So the next thing is if he should use holes that aren't occupied by any other ghouls. So you can have multiple ghouls and you can have them hiding in the same holes, but this lets you specify whether you want whether you want him to go in the same hole as another ghoul or find a different hole that's not occupied. So if you set this to true, he will only go to one that's not occupied. We're just gonna set this to false. We don't have multiple ghouls anyways, but if we did, we'll just tell him let's just go in there anyways, if there is a ghoul in there. But there isn't, but we're just gonna say false here. Next is whether he should go in a hole that's outside of the player's sight. So if the ghoul is looking at, if the player is looking at a hole, and you set this to true, then the ghoul won't be able to see. The ghoul won't go in that hole because the player is looking at it. He'll go to a different one, or if there's no other one, then he'll do nothing. But we'll set this to false. We want him to go regardless of whether the player is looking at it or not. And then this is the last one. This is going to be the callback you want to run when the ghoul successfully goes in the hole. So and just like other things that we've done in previous episodes, you know, you can call a function and then run some more code that you might want to do once he does get in a hole. So we would provide here the function name. So there is a bit of a convention for this one that the developers use, so I'm going to use it here as well. And it's going to be on enter hole underscore and then the name of the ghoul that you're telling to go in the hole. So that's going to be ghoul hallway, and then let's close this out with a semicolon. So we did go a little bit off screen here. You don't have to keep this whole line like this. We can hit enter at any point here to just kind of space it out. So we're gonna do it right here, and then we'll just add a few tabs here just to kind of separate it from the main line here. So this will run fine even though you spaced it out. So this is perfectly fine. Don't worry, you can do this. So let's go to the new line here. Let's go ahead and save it here. All right. So with that, we have our command completely filled out. He will go to this hole once we run it. But before that, I also want him to emerge out of the second hole that we placed. The closest one is 1. We're going to tell him to emerge out of 2. So we're going to instruct him now to get out of his hole and go out to 2. But I want to do that with a timer. So I'm going to give it like maybe 3 seconds in the hole. Then I'm going to have him pop out in a different hole. So the way we make a timer is the same way we made it here. So we're going to say map add timer, and then we'll do you know, we got the parentheses, and we'll do this, and we've got to give it a name that's going to be within our script. So we're going to say timer, and we're going to say hallway ghoul emerge. Doesn't really matter, you can call it whatever. We'll just say timer hallway ghoul emerge, and then we'll do comma, and then we'll say 10.0f, or not 10.0f, we'll do 5 seconds. That's the amount of time we want it to run. So we'll do 5 seconds, and now we need the name of the timer. So we're gonna say on timer underscore, and then we're gonna copy the same name that's right here, hallway ghoul emerge. So we'll paste that there, hallway ghoul emerge, and then we'll go into a new line here, and we'll say void, and we'll just straight copy the function, the timer name that we gave it here, and then we'll do, you know, open parentheses. We'll say const. We'll say t string, and we'll do and in as timer, and then we'll do our open curly brace and hit enter here. So now we're pretty much good to go. We can go ahead and run whatever code we want now. So this is left for run. We will instruct the ghoul to go to the hole. Actually, we'll give him a little more time. We'll give him like 10 seconds just so that we know he got to the hole for sure. Actually, you know what would be good? You know what would be good here? Once he, you know what we'll do? You know what we'll do? We'll set this timer to be inside of this this function right here that we have, the on enter Ghoul hallway. So so just let's put this on hold for a moment here. We'll leave it here. Let's put it on hold for a moment. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make the callback for this here, and then we'll call this timer inside of that callback. So everything will make sense in a moment when we go through it. So let's just write the callback. So the callback is gonna be void on enter hole. So it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same name as this. So I'm actually just gonna copy it so I don't make any typos here. We're gonna paste that there. We're gonna do the parentheses here, and then we're gonna say const for short for constant. We'll say t-string, and then we'll say and in as entity, and then we'll do open curly brace and we'll close it here, and so now in here let's print a message so that we can visually see our callback working here, and then we're gonna say, so that's clux add debug message. This will only print in when you have your game running in debug mode. So we'll go ahead and clear this, and what we'll say is Ghoul entered hole, and then we'll say ... starting timer ... just so that we can see that it's working properly. And then now here is where we're gonna put our timer. So let's get our timer here. We'll cut this out and we'll paste it right here. And so now we set the timer in here. So now that we know the Ghoul entered the hole, so once the Ghoul enters this hole, we'll call this timer. 5 seconds after this timer, after he enters this hole, he should emerge on the next hole. So so we'll go ahead and then type in the code here for emerging. So what we need for this is the Ghoul underscore command, and then it's gonna be command emerge from hole. So there it is, emerge from hole, execute. It needs a few values here, and I'll walk you guys through what they are. So it's pretty much gonna be the name of the Ghoul, the force, the hole that we want him to come out, and a callback. Let's actually, you know what? Let me scroll it down so you guys can see here. We'll do Ghoul command, and we'll say emerge from hole. So yeah. So let's go ahead and hit enter here, and we'll put our quotation marks here. So we'll say Ghoul hallway is going to be the name of our Ghoul. We'll do comma space. Now we need the hole he's going to be emerging from. So we called ours Ghoul hole, or it'd be hallway 1 or 2. Actually, this is the second one. I'll double check that name. I think that's what it was, but I just want to double check. And then we will get out of here, comma space. We could leave the rest blank here. I will go through these. I will actually not put any values for these. Again, force is the same as before, whether you want to force him to do it or wait for the next best opportunity. We're going to leave it as false. Next is a callback. So again, you can do a callback just like we did with this one here on emerge, on emerge, and we will do it. Let's go ahead and do it just for demonstration purposes, just to print out a message, just so that he emerged and everything. And then so let's go ahead and put it here, and then we'll say, let's call it on emerge completed, and then we will do underscore, and then we'll put the name of the Ghoul that's emerging. So Ghoul hallway. On emerge completed, Ghoul hallway, and I'll show you how we do the callback for that in a second. And then the last two are whether or not you want to provide custom animations for him getting out of the hole. We won't. We'll just leave him blank like this. And same for the second one. It's just another animation that you can play. So we'll leave them both blank. We're not going to play any custom ones. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and go outside of this timer here, just to write another function here. And this is going to be the callback that has this name. So let's go ahead and copy this. And the format for this should be the same as the last one. It's going to be void, and then we'll paste in our function name here. And then we're going to do parentheses. And then it's going to be const. It's going to be exactly the same actually. T string, and then we'll say in and in as entity. So it's going to be identical to the previous one. And we'll do open curly brace, and we'll close it. And now we'll just print the message just to kind of show that this works. So we'll say, Ghoul emerged from hole, and that's it. And then we will close it with the semicolon at the end there. All right, so let's just go over all of this so that for those that are not super familiar with scripting, can get a full understanding, because I know we kind of put a lot of callbacks here and there. So what we're doing, pretty much, we were telling the Ghoul to go to a hole. We're telling him, by specifying this true, we told him to go to the closest hole. And when you do get to that closest hole, create a callback. The callback will call another function to run some more code. So when you get to we will run on enter hole Ghoul hallway. So that's this right here, void on enter hole Ghoul hallway. So we will run this. So we should print a message here saying Ghoul enter the hole, starting timer. And then we will create that timer. We will give the timer a name. This is only to reference within your script in case you wanted to reference the timer later on. Then you set the time, how much you want. So we're setting 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, we'll set a timer. In 5 seconds, we're going to run this function here that we called on timer hallway Ghoul emerge. And then that's this function right here. And then what this function will pretty much do is it will run the Ghoul emerge command, the Ghoul command emerge from hole, and we will emerge on hole hallway 2. And let's just go back to double check that that's right. Hole hallway 2, yep, that's right. And he'll emerge, and we will create this callback here on the emerging called on emerge complete Ghoul hallway. And we're not really doing anything here in this one. All we're doing is just printing a message saying Ghoul emerge from hole, so that we know that the callback's working properly. So we'll go ahead and save this up. And with all of that, we can go ahead and test out this code and see if our scripting works. So let me just double check that the level editor is saved, and it looks like it is. So let's go ahead and run the game and check it out. Alright guys, so here we are in our level. Let's go ahead and head down to the bottom of the stairs here, and trigger that timer. So there's our hole in the wall. You can't really see much in there, it just kind of goes in there. And we should see our other one down here. So let's run through our collide area here to trigger a timer, and let's run back here. And we're not gonna go all the way up to the Ghoul. The Ghoul's gonna come down the hallway and come down here. We're kind of just gonna peek around this corner and watch him get in the hole here. So there he goes, and there he goes. He goes straight into the hole. So now that timer should go. You can see at the bottom it says Ghoul entered hole, starting timer. So now he should come out right here in a few seconds. So let's give it a second. And there he is. Came out the hole, and now he can come and grab us and throw us around or whatever. So that works. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You can trigger that. Obviously, you can run that code wherever you want. If you have if you want later on when the player steps in a callback area and a trigger area later on, you can trigger him coming out in a hole in the same room that the player just entered. super fun way to, you know, get your ghouls moving around. Good way to get them through in between rooms. If you have, like, you know, a lot of doors in between rooms and you want them to get to specific places, that's a good way to do it. So let's go back to our script. There's one last command that I want to talk about using the command function, but we're not gonna do a test for that one. So let's check it out. All right, so we're back in our script. So all of this work, really cool stuff. Really, you know, really fun. You can really think of 1.5 million ways that you can use this stuff in your custom stories. There's one last command I want to talk about, and it's pretty. We're not going to really run anything, but I want to just kind of show it to you guys. So if you, let's say you wanted him to go to a specific hole and not just the nearest hole, you can do that if you do Ghoul _command. And then you could type in go to, and you'll see the two commands here. Go to specific hole. This is the other. This is the one that we just did. But go to specific hole will have the Ghoul go to a very specific hole that you specify. We'll just talk about the what you would put in here. So we'll hit enter just to kind of like put it in here. But yeah, you put in, you know, here would be like Ghoul hallway, the name of the Ghoul, the hole that you want them to go to. And then again, the rest, since they have these equals, they're optional commands, but these are pretty much the exact same ones we had over here. The whole, you know, I guess we'll fill it out just for you guys to see. It will say, you know, this is whole hallway 2. So let's say that we didn't run the first one and we just want him to go to this specific hole. It'd be whole hallway 1, comma, and then whether you want to force them to do it, we'll say false. Instant is whether he should just be teleported to the hole or he should make his way to it, the hole. So this will be false. We want him to actually walk over there. Deactivate after is if you want to disable this command from executing as soon as it's completed. And then so we'll set that to false. We'll do comma space, and then again equal speed. You can specify a speed. So we'll just pick one here. We'll do equal speed walk. And then you can do same as the other one here. You can do, like, you know, on enter whole hallway. And so we can just copy this. Let's say we copy this here. So now these pretty much are interchangeable. We can use this one or we can use this one. Both. This one, the only difference between this one and this one is that the first one can specify a lot more details, a lot more like numbers and stuff. But it's because of the nature of the function. It kind of picks at random or picks based on distance on like where the Ghoul should go. So if you just want to command them to go straight to one specific hole, you can use this command here. And if we were to, you know, again, if we just to comment this out, delete this line right here, both of this one should still run perfectly fine, and all of this stuff down here will run too, since we gave it the same function name here. So with that, that's the last about the command. So now we're going to talk about the other way to use the holes, and it's using. If you watch the previous episode, you'll know for patrolling, we had 2 separate ones to use, one for command and one for mode. So there is a mode we can set for the Ghoul, although it doesn't exactly have this functionality. So what we're going to type now, so I'll actually differentiate it by putting like // and we'll say the Ghoul mode method. We'll say the Ghoul mode method. This is a different way to get it, and we will comment this out as well, so this stuff doesn't execute when we test it. And so what we want to do is, again, just following along with like the same format of what we did in the last episode. We're gonna say Ghoul _mode, and then it's gonna be stalk. I just mistyped, so let me retype that so you can see. Ghoul mode stalk through holes setup. So what this will pretty much do is exactly what it says. The Ghoul will go in a hole, and it will pretty much just follow the player wherever he is on the map. He'll go to like the closest hole to the player, and then once like the player walks by, he could emerge out the hole and like hit the player, or you can change his state and he'll pop out of the last hole that he's in, which would be the one closest to the player. So if you kind of want to always keep the ghoul in, like, alive and moving in your custom story and following the player wherever he goes, then have him pop out when you change states. Like you change him to like the hunt state, or you change him to like the searching state or patrolling. So you can jump from him stalking into holes to him patrolling once the player enters like a new area that you specify. So just an idea there of why you would want to do this. So this is again really good if you want to reuse the same ghoul throughout your custom story, and unlike the developers that like to use like a ton of different types of ghouls to script a lot of events. But let's go ahead and talk about how we set this up. So we're gonna go ahead and hit enter here. So first thing we want to put in is the name of the ghoul, so ghoul hallway, and then we'll do comma space. Now we need the whole network. So here's where we need to talk about something called wildcards. I might do a video on this topic alone, but it's actually not that. It's not super complicated, and pretty much what you do is we'll type in whole hallway, right? So that's the name of our. Let's make sure we get it in quotation marks. We'll type in whole hallway, and we'll do underscore, and then instead of specifying a number, we're gonna put a star here. And what that means, is that the whole network is every hole, with we put the ghoul holes, the little boxes that look like from the player areas, we named them whole hallways. So any any of those ghoul hole areas that we have that have the name whole hallway, a whole underscore hallway underscore, and then a number after will be added to this network. So any number. So if you have one called 1, it will add it. If you have one called 2, it will add it. If you have 3, 4, 5, 6, anything past this point, it will add it as a part of the whole network that the ghoul can travel. So if you have multiple holes, you have whole underscore hallway 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just keep going like that. And that's how you can connect them all. So we're going to put a star here. So it will connect both 1 and 2 together, since we put a star here to kind of group them together. Next is you can specify the path nodes that lead to where like the general direction the player is going to go. This kind of just helps the AI figure out what direction it should head. So if you had like path nodes, let's open up the level editor. So like let's say we kind of like loop backwards here, but let's say path node 1, you had like something called player path 1 or path node, or whatever the nodes are, and it goes down to like, I guess, like 38, for example. You could put here path node underscore star, and then all those path nodes that lead down towards where the player should be heading, like generally, will get added. But this is not required. This should still work without this. So we'll go ahead and delete this here, and we'll just leave it blank. We'll just leave it as default. As you can see, that is the default already, so you don't have to specify it. Whole connections, same thing with the whole connections, but pretty much whole connections, to put it simply, if you have like another set of holes somewhere else, with different names, you could put them here, same as we did with like the star here, whole hallway star. So if we had another set of another set of like holes called like basement hole, like whole basement 1, whole basement 2, you can put let's say whole basement underscore star, and then it will say that these are connected with those as well, but we don't have any, so we're just gonna leave it blank. We'll do comma space, and then the last one, pretty self-explanatory right there, hide until disturbed. Should he hide until disturbed, or should he pop out? for some reason. So we're gonna set this to false. We don't want him to hide until he's bothered or you make some kind of noise. I think it has to be triggered by a noise, or I think by you walking by the hole. We will be walking by the hole anyways, just to test it. But yeah, we're gonna set that to false. You can play around with that yourself. So with that, we'll go to the next line, and that's pretty much it for setting it up. Now we can just go ahead and change the mode. So we're gonna say Ghoul mode set, and then we're gonna put in the name of our Ghoul hallway, and then the name of the mode. So we're gonna say Ghoul mode underscore, and then we'll do stock through holes. And then the last one again is optional, whether you want to force the state change. We're gonna say false, we won't force it, and we'll save here. And that's pretty much it to enable this. So now what the Ghoul would pretty much do, this method is very like automatic. You kind of want the Ghoul to have its own behavior. You're not scripting the Ghoul's behavior. So with this, he'd pretty much go in the hole. He'd go in the hole, and he will just kind of follow along with the player. And like I said, let's say down the line, the player triggers some event that you want to have the Ghoul appear for. Whenever that is, you know, you could set that disturb to like true, and then whenever that is, you can change the Ghoul mode, you know, Ghoul mode set, and you could change it to patrolling like we did in the previous episode, or you could change them to hunt or guarding, whatever you want. You could change the mode here again, or you can pretty much just, you know, scrap the whole thing and have them do something completely different. Like you can give them a command to do something. So you could do that. So with that, that's pretty much the last. That's actually the last bit of code that I wanted to show you guys. Let's go ahead and boot up our game and have a look and see if this works. All right, so here we are in our level. So let's go ahead and head down these stairs and check out our thing. So we should see him pretty much walk down here because we couldn't specify a speed. We should just see him walk down. So here we are, we're triggering it. We didn't set a speed in that function. Of course, if you use one of the other Ghoul commands, you can set a speed. We talked about those, I think, in the first episode about enemies. So you could just set a speed there. You could just do a Ghoul, I think, underscore set speed or something like that. But you could do that before you make him go to the hole. But by default, he just walks, and he's gonna go ahead and go in the hole. So there he goes. He goes in the hole. And now let's go down here and let's not get too close so it doesn't glitch out. You can see right away, boom, he jumps out the hole and he attacks us. So that's pretty much all it is to stalking. I don't know if he'll go back in the hole. I think if we lose him, he'll go back in the hole. But he's pretty quick here. See if we can get out of here before he catches up to us. But he should just end up going back in the hole, and then until you change that state, and then probably attack us again. See what he's doing. I think he's still trying to look for us. I think he saw me again. All right, we'll cut it there. So what we'll do, with that out the way, we have the Ghoul networks taken care of now. In the next episode, I'm thinking we're going to be talking about all the Ghoul related callbacks. I kind of saved them to the end, just because it's pretty scripting heavy, I didn't want to put that all in the other videos about the other topics. It's going to be a very scripting heavy episode. So for those that are scripters and love scripting in HPL3 or HPL2 or just in general, you guys will probably really enjoy all those callback episode. So make sure you tune in for that. With that, I'll wrap things up here, guys. Make sure you leave a like and you leave a comment letting me know what you guys want to see, or if you had any problems, let me know in the comments. Other than that, make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.